the shot father, Todd Leary, joining us now. And just so you know right now, Toddrick, I cannot hear a damn thing, and I'm working on that. So
Not
I
even
am
me?
going to just go off of reading your lips
Okay.
today, and which is
I'll give you the thumbs
a fun
up.
thing to do. And I
I
hope you're doing well. A great weekend ahead. I had Todd, or shit. Oops. I had Pat Knight on the show yesterday, and it was a really fun conversation just in and of that. Talking about, they're coming back tonight with Marion in an exhibition game, but he's coming back as an opposing coach, no less, which is kind of funny. He talked about the fact that he'd been in the visitors' locker room one time back in the day. He was being recruited by not Western, I guess it was Minnesota or Western. I don't know where Clem Haskins was, but Clem Haskins was recruiting him, and he said, Dad was cool with it. Yeah, because he was cool with it because he knew you weren't going any damn where. He knew what the heck was going to happen. But he said that's the only time he's been in the visitors' locker room. But it's going to be cool. It's cool having him. He's back in Indianapolis. It was just some great stories. I wanted to bring up a story that you had told me about. I forget what the occasion was, but you and Pat had gone over to Bob's home for something on a Sunday. Of course, being with Pat Knight, you were late. You walk in, and Coach Knight said something, and boop, right back out the door you guys went.
Yep, that's a true story. We got booted out for a Sunday dinner, and that wasn't an unusual circumstance. Although we didn't go to Coach's house that often, but I think I went there 3 total times and got kicked out twice. So he was 66% on kicking us out of the house. But Pat coming back is just a fun, cool situation and opportunity for him. And he's got a cool situation at Marion University and taking over there for Coach Hetty, and they do a lot of good things for a lot of kids out of Indianapolis and the surrounding area and the whole state, I guess, for that matter, and getting them a chance to continue their education and play basketball. And so that part of it's fun and exciting and good. And him coming back's going to be weird. Although I don't know, you're not going to be able to laugh and hear this, but I don't know that story is completely accurate, because I know I got dressed for an entire summer in the visitors' locker room because we got kicked out of our locker room one summer because
I'm gonna just roll off of that one and on to tonight as Indiana welcomes in Marion. That's more of it's a tune-up for Indiana, of course. And Pat talked about it. This is great exposure for his guys. It's a great opportunity for his guys. They're going to play in front of more people than they're going to see all season. That's a great environment as he works on building up the Knights program. And how appropriate is it that they're the Knights? That's just funny. If they would just now call it the Bob Knights, that would be even funnier. But and he's got his guy Steve Downing there. They could probably make that happen. Last week, I want to talk about their game against Tennessee because we didn't get to do that since they've played. That's a hell of a win. You're going to Knoxville to take on a team that some people have as the 10th ranked team. Some people have the 12th ranked team. But Indiana goes on the road and gets a road win in a game they didn't play all that great in either. So that has to be a huge boost for confidence and then thinking about what this team could be.
Yeah, it really is. And they didn't shoot the ball very well, Indiana, and that is, that's, I think, probably going to be an underlying concern for the whole season. We're hoping, although I do think they're going to be much better shooting than they were last year. Luke Goody is a huge addition. I think he and Mbako are going to lead this team in shooting the ball. I think percentage-wise, Goody will probably lead the team in three-point percentage. But he's just a huge addition. He's a big deal. And going into that environment and coming out, the way that they did, I don't think Tennessee is very good. That ranking is a little weird. Like their whole team last year was Dalton Connect, and they don't obviously have him anymore. So they're going to struggle to score. This is going to be more like a Tennessee team we're used to, in that, they're going to try to win games 50-40 and instead of outscoring you. So, but at the end of the day, it's a good win. It's a good situation for you to go in there. If they go in there and lose by 20, you realize you got a lot to work on, and they do have a lot to work on. But boy, they got a lot of good pieces to work with, and I think Coach Woodson's probably going to be pretty excited about where they're at.
And obviously the shooting didn't start out great, which again has been the bugaboo for this team. I think 0 for 8 to start out shooting threes. Yeah. And actually overall, they didn't shoot the ball very well. Neither team did. I don't know if that's early season for both. Some defense. Tennessee was terrible from field goals, from a field goal percentage. Umar Ballo, great job pulling down 11 rebounds, but only 6 points. I was a little surprised he didn't score more because he played over 30 stinking minutes. I don't know if he was just had too much Anthony Richardson. He was too tired. Maybe he was too tired to score.
Yep, and there was a bunch of good things that came out of it. There's some things obviously that I know that they need to work on, and this Indiana team is going to be different than last year's team. They're not going to pound it inside quite as much as what they did last year. I think they're going to do that when they play the half court, but they're also going to try to push the ball a little bit more and get up and down and do some things in that regard, which I was surprised at the minutes Ballo played, but with injuries and some guys who didn't play, I think there was guys that played a few more minutes than what they normally will during the regular season. But yeah, it was that's a good environment to go into and come away not shell shocked and feeling pretty good about where you're at this part of the season.
Will you make it out to tonight's game?
I will not. No.
Yeah, I know it's tough for all those sometimes to get to those, but like I said, this is an exhibition game, the last exhibition game, and then Indiana has a couple of more what I call early season tune-ups, even though they are actual regular season games. But when they head off to, and we'll have time to talk about this, but when they head off to the Bahamas for the Battle of Atlantis down there, they start right off with a Louisville team, Todd, that has 13 new players. And in what I've seen from their exhibitions, they're scoring some damn points.
Yeah, they've got a coach that likes to get up and down the floor and score points. And this is, don't compare Louisville this year to what they've been the last several years. And I'm not saying they're going to be world beaters because it's probably going to take some adjustment time, but they're not going to be the same Louisville team that's been beat up on for the last couple of years. They've got some better players, and they've got a great coach that's really knows what he wants to accomplish and gets these guys up and down the floor. And he's got a fun style of basketball that he's not going to have any problem recruiting guys to come in there and play.
And it's going to be interesting. And not only that, that's going to be Indiana's biggest and probably only true preseason. I keep calling it preseason, pre-conference, right. Non-conference challenge. But because if they get by Louisville, and even if they don't, they're going to have somebody else. But if they do happen to get by Louisville, Gonzaga is waiting in the wings, and then a multitude of others. So they're going to get a bigger early season test than they have had for a couple of years, even though they have played a couple of teams. They played UConn and then they played Auburn, but those were separate. And this is coming at you. Boom, boom, boom. It's not only is it more like the NCAA tournament, but even more so because in the NCAA tournament, you're only going to play 2 games in a weekend. This is at least 3, I think.
Yeah. These preseason tournaments are fun, and they're probably more fun for the fans than the coaches. I don't think they love playing that many games back to back to back, but it's a cool fun. This is such a fun time of year outside of March and March Madness and all that. This is my favorite time of year because when it comes to basketball and football, because you got all these good games going on right now, football wise, and then you get to throw in right around Thanksgiving all these big tournaments with great schools playing against each other. So yeah, super excited to see that. And you're right, Indiana's going to find out really quickly where they're at going into this season.
And we've heard a lot of talk again about the style of play that Mike Woodson would like to see, and that fans should expect to see, and that the word has been tempo. But we've heard that before, and in that first game against Tennessee, which it's just one game, I get it, and the shooting wasn't falling, maybe that affected it as well, but not a lot of tempo in that game.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. But a lot of that has to do with Tennessee. That's how Tennessee wants to play. They're not a good scoring team. They like to beat you on the defensive end of the court. So, look, for the team that they played, they actually did get up and down the floor pretty well and play pretty quickly. And so, yeah, it's they're going to play at a faster pace, even with Ballo playing the minutes that he plays. They're going to play a little quicker. I think they're going to shoot a little quicker in the offenses, what I have heard, at least in the early part of the season. So we'll see where they end up with that. But I wouldn't read too much into the Tennessee pace, because that's what Tennessee wants to do to you.
And then I want to ask you about Miles Rice. He may end up being the single most important piece that was added to this team. He immediately showed his importance in that game at Tennessee, with becoming the point guard that Indiana has not had in a while. Not only is he playing the point guard position extraordinarily well, hell, he was scoring the ball. He was, I think he led him in scoring with 21. I don't have the stats pulled up, but I think he had 21 points in that game. So if you're going to get that kind of production out of him, if you can just start getting the shots to fall on some other guys, that bodes very well for that team.
Yeah, it really does. And he was, he is exactly what I think we all wanted him to be. And I think the coaches wanted him to be. He played really well, and he ran the floor. He ran the offense and got guys where they needed to be. You could tell he was the general on the floor, and that was, that's something Indiana just hasn't had. Even though I think Gabe Cupps does an admirable job running the point, he's definitely not the creator that Rice is, and I think it's just that he's only going to get better and better as he gets more comfortable with the offense and more comfortable with the guys around him. He's only going to get better, as are the rest of the guys that are around him.
All right. Some football coming up, man. Big weekend, of course, for Indiana. They get Curtis Rourke back. That was announced last night by Curt Cignetti on his radio show with Don Fisher. I love Curt Cignetti's complete, total honesty. He does not BS anybody. I mean, they could have held on to that information right up until they didn't have to. And
that's what we're very used to.
Again, nothing against Tom Allen, but man, he tried to use that every game, it seemed like. And I'm like, man, you're all not good enough for people to worry about who your damn quarterback is. You don't have a great one. So, but this is a completely different situation, because last week it was very evident to the eye, and statistics bore it out. Indiana is averaging over around 46-7 points a game, one of the highest in the country. But last week, the offense only put 24 points on the scoreboard, and definite drop-off in the production in that first half. So very positive sign for Indiana getting Curtis Rourke back. Nothing against Taven Jackson. Led him to a win. But, boy, Curtis Rourke's one of the top quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, and this team, when you've got your quarterback in that situation, you've played that many reps with them, of course they're going to be more comfortable and I think play better and a little smoother with the starting quarterback in there. And Taven Jackson did an outstanding job. He was great. Most teams lose that game when you don't have your starting quarterback and you play that game last week. This is a big one this week. It would be, going on the road in the Big Ten, it's always tough. But this would be a gigantic win for them to get and be able to come back home and play, I think, Michigan next week and be undefeated at that point. I mean, there's so much attention surrounding them right now, but it's only going to get bigger if they can come back here undefeated against Michigan.
Well, brother, I hope your weekend goes well. As always, we appreciate you each and every Friday. Make sure you're going to myjumpshot.com. I failed to get that up there today, but don't
You're
forget
good.
to go to myjumpshot.com for any of you that know a kid, have a kid, are a kid. You don't even have to be a kid, though. It doesn't matter. College down through however low you want to go, where you want to start them. Todd Leary, the shot father, still one of the highest ranking 3-point shooters in Indiana's history. Quickly before we go, because I know you were probably not far off from this. One of the stories that Pat Knight told us yesterday is he was talking about him and Damon Bailey when they first got going in school, that they were loving life. No classes. They had girls getting notes for them, copying all the school notes down from what the profs had to say, had people going to get them food. They're sleeping till noon, just digging it. And Tim Knight stopped by one day and just checking on Pat, and he asked him how it's going. He goes, "Oh, it's great." And he told him all these, we got this and that. He goes, "You idiot." He goes, "Don't you know Dad sends a letter to every single professor every 2 weeks asking about what you're doing in there?" And they're like, "Oh, crap." And then the very next day they get a call from, I guess it was Marianne.
Yep,
secretary.
Marianne.
He said, "There's 2 things you did not want to get: a message from Marianne, because that meant you had a meeting with coach, or to see Buzz Kerpius walk out onto the floor during practice."
Still have nightmares of either one of those 2 scenarios. Yeah, that was those 2 things happening meant it was not going to be a good day for you. So yeah, it was. Coach Knight kept tight reins, and here was the deal: like, he trusted us. If you got good grades and didn't get teachers telling on you for not coming to class, then they didn't really bother you a whole lot. But as soon as you got in trouble or did anything negative, you were on the radar, and you did not want to be on the radar.
The shot father, Todd Leary, joining us here on this Friday, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks, brother. Be safe. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate you. Thanks.